I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in what was once a dream. So if I do some quick math, the future equals a dream come true. Since 1992, In All Honesty, a podcast by OLAVEORAWO.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is OLAVEORAWO and we are recording this episode at the Trio Media Studios. It's in Lavington, Chandarana Building, Nairobi, Kenya. And I keep telling you, please come to this space. It's a very cozy space. The rates are very good to your pocket. In this economy, you need to be saving money. So yes, do come to Trio Media Studios and talk to the people here and you will love it, especially beginner podcasters. But today here on our podcast, I have another set of beautiful guests. Of course.
Yay.
And I'm just so happy to have you guys. Today we are talking about mental. I didn't know how to title this episode, but it's just around mental illness, wellness, disorders, health. I don't know,
so
but
health.
I just know it's mental.
Yeah. Mental, right.
Shida na akili.
Yeah.
Yeah, so welcome so much. I'm meeting both of you today for the first time.
Yay.
But as you know, everyone who comes here is my bestie already.
Right.
Before they come and then I meet them.
Right.
But I'm giving you the chance to just introduce yourselves as you'd like to be known. Ivanna.
Okay. My name is Ivanna and I'm a counseling psychologist or therapist. And yes, I work with children, teenagers, and young people. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Ole.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Young inaisha wapi? Tunaelekea that
But as long as you feel young, I can help you.
Allah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Kaz.
My name is Kasmuel Makure. I'm a musician. I'm an educator and a wannabe finance practitioner. I'm lying. I'm just a human being. I'm just, the thing about like introductions with like what we do for careers.
Yeah.
People usually like use that to see how they're gonna treat you or whatever.
Oh, yeah. But that's why I say introduce yourselves as you'd
right.
like to be known.
People like to know me as a wakili and then I let them down and then they're just disappointed. I teach babies how to play piano. That's what I do for a living. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know how to play piano. Really well.
Excuse
Can I
me. You know. Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks for
I
having us.
always appreciate when you come on. Thank you. But now today the topic we're having, let me just say mental wellness for
Health.
now. And then
I think health is a more
Health is-
encompassing because it deals with wellness and illness and disorders and whatnot.
okay.
Yeah.
So mental health. By the time we're done, I will have figured out the title for this podcast. But usually I put out a prompt on my socials and ask people a question, and usually they just give me the answers, and that's what you use as now talking points.
Yeah.
And I'll just read some of them. If it brings something to mind, then we can get into that conversation. If it triggers something, tell us, and we just get to talk. So I'll start with the rather short ones. The prompt I put out was what are your thoughts and experiences with mental illness? And someone here said, it's real. It's easier if you put a name to it. So I don't know what exactly they meant, but is it like if you don't know what it is, but if it's alcoholism, we know.
Yeah. And I think so
label.
because for me, what my thing has been like is I just did not understand why in certain periods of the year I would just want to empty my bank account and buy a stupid thing. I don't know why every once in a while I just go out on like a sexual rampage or like because me, I'm one of those two SDA boys. So you can't drink alcohol, you don't eat pork, but you can fornicate. I'm wrong, man. I'm wrong for this. This is not what that's not what it is. And like those people. I have a pal who just said, "Mimi ni kule pork." Hey, he didn't fornicate, man. But I just did not understand what that was about. And then there's periods when I would go out and be a musician, a farmer, or whatever. And then there's months when I would just sleep through it. So up until I was in town last year naked, I just didn't know. And then when I was taken to hospital, they were like, oh yeah, first of all, they thought I was on drugs or whatever. And then I went to hospital and yada, yada, yada. Then it was called bipolar. And then I started seeing the thing in movies and whatnot. And they're like, these are some of what you can do. And I'm like, mngesema. I feel like when it has a name, well, it's not like more bearable. It kind of...
It affirms your experiences.
It does. And it kind of makes it easier for you to know how to deal. Because I just thought, hey, I'm erratic and everyone's going through this particular kind of thing. But there's people who have like the bipolar, which is just heavy depressive. Them, they don't go through the maniac phase. And so there's, I think from what that commenter meant, when it has a name, when this is specifically what it is, you know how to deal with it.
I don't know. I would say I don't know if that will fall under mental. But the one thing that did that for me is I always thought I was broken when it comes to romantic relationships.
Right.
Until this one time I was just watching something random on YouTube and that person described themselves and I was like, oh, so I'm demisexual.
Yes.
Oh, and it's just, then I'm not broken. It just helps in that sense.
It really does. It really does.
I have a contrary opinion.
Go for it.
So I think that when you use a label to help you feel better about what you're going through, you're forgetting the root cause or where it's coming from. So for me, I feel like it's important to know where is this coming from, what triggered you to react the way you did, and what are those triggers that make you go into quote unquote the bipolar, those episodes. What makes you end up like that? Because we're not always sick. Even if we're sick, we're all sick somewhere and we all have some mental health issues to some degree. But what makes us sick? What makes us react? What makes us end up in that stage? I think that's the most important to me when I'm dealing with anyone, because I feel like, you could end up saying, me, I'm depressed. And that thing annoys me a lot. Me, I'm depressed.
The owning up of labels.
Yeah, it becomes an excuse more than something that makes you feel better or helps you become better.
Okay.
That's interesting, because if I were just to pivot off of what Ivanna said, I feel like you could know roughly when someone was born by the mental illness they claim. Like if they're born before 90, those guys claim OCD. Or or if they're 90s, 1991 tops, those guys claim OCD. And then millennials, millennials have depression. And then Gen Z guys is ADHD, and anxiety and whatnot. But so I totally get where you're coming from with that.
That's true.
While also, there's the urge to be different.
Yeah.
And you'll see for, am I allowed to say this? But for white people, it's autism. A lot of white people want to kind of be on the spectrum somehow. And it usually feels like, because we cannot add like medical doctor or lawyer or esquire, whatever it is, title to our profiles and whatnot, we have to claim something that makes us different.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you're coming from with that, because when I was talking about like knowing that kind of helps you, I felt like it does not make it better. It just helps you deal, but it's not that thing because we want to be different. Olive already does not need to claim a mental illness. Well, she might have it. Her influence overshadows whatever it is. So you have the luxury of, because you're famous already, you have the luxury of, you don't have to like claim a mental illness. It's harder than a person who's struggling to be different.
Claim it to get like more clout, like when the numbers are going down.
Which is fine. And why are we obsessed with it? Like, because let me tell you, nowadays I can't, sorry. I feel like we can't claim. Niko ashamed that I'm associated with like any mental illnesses, because I'm like, you want to release a video for a song, and so why are you using Denise Street like suicide and whatnot? Yeah. Sorry, Ivanna, I think I cut you short.
No, I was asking something. I was like, so you're saying that people seek relevance by saying they have a mental health issue?
Yes, but also they do not claim the really serious ones. They claim the ones that have low accountability. Because what I learned about ADHD, it's not fun. It's not just me saying 3, 4, 5 stories at the same time. I literally cannot put my phone down without losing it. So I will have my watch and I'm always saying, hey Siri, where's my iPhone? Because I just don't remember. I don't know where I left my keys. Like this one time, I've left my car keys where I don't remember for the life of me. I know it's somewhere in my house. Like the way my house is set up, it's easy as a musician. But for a very long time, when I used to have roommates, I would really fight with them because they're clean freaks. They believe everything needs to go into a what. But for me, the way my mind map works is you could find because I'm a musician, like a sheet music that has 17 pages. There's like 7 pages here, there's 3 pages here, there's what, So I see it the way I walk and whatnot.
But your mind knows.
It kind of knows. Yeah. And so when I hear people talk about ADHD as if it's just, you not being able to focus, it cripples your life, like quite literally. I don't remember anybody. I've never met a person who was super excited. Like, man, it's a bipolar, it's a depression. Nobody likes it. It's not cool. No. But so when you take the low, I feel like low accountability on, like it's very easy to pass off as depressed. See, I could just be an introvert. I could just keep quiet, and then people would just be like, she's depressed, like that kind of thing.
That's true. Or you're just sad. It's just a bad day.
It could be a bad week, could be a bad month.
A bad day.
Yeah. But it does, and it cripples. Like for anyone I know, it cripples them. Kabisa. It as long as it does not alter normal daily functionality, I doubt you'd have the illness. It has to alter your daily functionality, like to a great degree. Yeah.
And also, let's talk about not diagnosing yourself. Not saying that you have ADHD just because you feel like you have so much energy. Wait to go to the doctor. Wait. Yeah.
Interesting.
You come in guns blazing.
Hey, I'm so about to see self-diagnosed. but like that's hella interesting because in the age of social media, we always kind of have I feel like the way we used to process information kitambo, it used to be, we went to the dictionary, for example, to get definition.
Yes.
And we knew that the dictionary says this. So whenever you go to the dictionary and you search a word like, for example, whatever, ADHD, you would find the same definition. But with like what social media is, ADHD to me is very different to you. It gives you exactly what it is that you want. And that's why it's very easy when you go down that rabbit hole. It's very easy to self-diagnose because the algorithm feeds you exactly the kind of content you want to see.
Because actually prepping for this episode, all my TikTok videos are ADHD,
right.
OCD. So it will target you for that particular. Put your finger down if you
have.
So just watch out. But second response here says, more people should talk about their struggle with mental health online. They'd save lots of lives. I think we've addressed that where don't, unless you're clinically diagnosed. Don't claim it. Don't claim it. Don't put information out there because sometimes I see a lot of misinformation. And you see my cleaning videos just have people saying OCD. And then under one OCD comment, now there's people fighting. Can you know OCD? You know. Yeah, no, she has. You see the way she organizes it. Look at her. So it's just like, let the psychologists and not the frauds, because I've seen people of the cloth and motivational speakers really coming to that space, the psychology space. So let's just leave it for the people who are certified.
But what if on the flip side, it's talking about it's putting out like stories out there for the sake of healing of the people who, because there's people who might not be as eloquent. There's people who might not know to put a story together with regards to what it is that they're going through. Because, I kind of have this personal struggle where, like for me, last year was a very rocky year for me. It was very difficult. And a lot of the comments I get, it's almost as if it's a censorship of sorts where people are just like, you need to safeguard your story. You don't need to let the whole world know and whatnot. But I'm like, while I see the importance of that, I'm at this very unique position where excuse me, I can be able to articulate what I went through. And with the articulation and with putting it out there, I found a lot of people who've come and said, oh, I went to this hospital and this is what happened. And man, I saw your story on Engage, for example, and I was going through a difficult time. Thank you for saving me, and those kinds of things. So while I feel there's that, because, you can also, psychology is a self-defeating profession because your goal is to make sure they don't come back. Ideally, so that's how you measure success.
Even health in general.
Ideally, it should be self-defeating. While there's that, we can't necessarily regulate whoever puts out information out there. And so I just feel like if I don't know how to put it, there's like, I feel like there's a very delicate balance where let the psychologist speak, but also let the the people speak, because it kind of allows us to have like a deeper insight into whatever the thing is.
I think there's just like a flip side. There's always a flip side to it. It's just like that's why I think I'm very keen on always saying I'm not in the psychology field, guys. I'm not in the psychology field, because a lot of people will reach out to you to help them guide through something, and it's just that we can also hear these stories. But then again, you can't shut out certain people. So then we'll come with the self-diagnosis ones who also want to share. But I think the good side of it, if like, let's say, Kaz, you've shared your story, that one person, that life has been changed. But then we're also looking at,
you know what I think also? Maybe the fact that when you put mental health aside or down and say everyone should share the experience if they can online, just to enlighten someone else about what they're going through and maybe help people relate to that and help people feel better without saying it's depression, without tagging.
That's
like
beautiful.
Saying,
That's
me,
really
I went
beautiful.
through this, I'm having this kind of issue, and I do this to help me feel better, you know.
I think that's so insightful, because it will also help us build resilience, because a lot of whatever it is that we're going through is usually just we have very low resilience, and whenever you're going through a thing, it feels unique to you.
It feels very lonely.
Because even for me, that's the first time I'm feeling like I don't know where I'm gonna get rent. And because you're alone, you live alone, yada yada yada, it feels like the world is conspiring against me. And then you talk to someone, they're like, Allah, downsize, like that kind of stuff.
And maybe the other thing I want to touch on is shame. I remember Kaz was saying how people say don't talk about your story, don't expose yourself. But guys, shame is something we've made in our minds just to hide us from, getting better and getting to a place where nothing makes us go down, nothing defeats us, basically.
Right.
So
You cannot shame the shameless.
Because I think shame has been passed down from our parents to from our grandparents to our
Yes.
parents.
Right.
Don't be ashamed. I think that's the other thing. Sure. Whatever you're going through, share it. You might find a lot happening to people.
Okay. Someone else says, I'm currently dealing with postpartum depression. I didn't know it had phases to it. The thing is, I'm just so sad all the time, covered with sarcasm and dark jokes. Send help.
So the first thing is what we talked about before. Self-diagnosis. Maybe it's not postpartum depression. Maybe it's something she's just going through. Maybe it's a personality that she's bringing in there. And so I think it's important to talk to someone. Of course, yes, come for help. We can't really send it, but we are sending it virtually, but you can come for help. Just talk to someone and see how you can see if it's something that's temporary or actually something that is permanent as depression.
I don't know if I should sit this one out, because PPD is quite I feel like I've just heard stories, and it's a thing which I do not understand as a man. It's one of those things which as a man you can never understand. But like, I've read stories and I've heard people's experiences where they felt like they hated the child and whatnot. So I think now that would be, how would you, just to spiral off of that, what are some of the ways we can perform care for mothers generally in such a way that it kind of alleviates the load? Just socially, because while we might not know if it's PPD or whatnot, but I know that if you've given birth, you've pushed a whole human being out of your vajay, and you have to raise them. Like, what are some of the things, just I feel like generally, that we could do if I met such a person, because they could be a friend of mine. If I went to theirs, how can you be there for a mother?
Because I think postpartum is, I'll not speak to it so much because it's very wild to me. I've had such experiences with other people. It's wild to me because I've seen someone go through very irrational phases in their life, and the child is 5 years old, 7 years old. You're like, okay, what is this? Because they wake up one time and they're just like, I don't want to be in this family anymore. I've had someone who's texted me from an Airbnb and they were just like, me, I've booked an Airbnb because I can't deal with
I'm
that.
not dealing with this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, I'm sorry, movie references. Sometimes it's disrespectful. But my first thought was working moms.
Yeah.
And like if you have a community of mothers, say in different towns, just coming together and talking, you realize you're not alone, because sometimes what eats us up is thinking we are alone. So when you go and see someone else going through it, with someone else's experience affirms you, it sort of brings some sanity while you're trying to figure out therapy and all that. But I think communities for particular people, like even if you're child free, look for communities for child free people. So sometimes you don't feel like you're mad. So I would say communities for now.
Awesome.
Everyone needs a support system.
And sometimes it doesn't come from home, because even them, they're looking at you and your mother will tell you, Kwani, you're the first one to give birth.
Right.
You know, and
As
this
her
is the
fifth
person
born.
who you are looking at. You are looking towards for support.
Right.
Yeah, so just see if you can get communities around particular, if you have, what are they called? Similar experiences. I think.
Right.
Someone else says, where depression and anxiety are a bitch of sisters.
Afadhali to whoever that is. Love and light.
Love and light.
They're there.
Receive hugs and bulbs.
They're there.
So I don't know if you had self-diagnosed them or you are clinically.
Self-diagnosis or whatever you've said, yes. Because man. So tell me
This
why.
is depression
and
and anxiety.
I think I was saying this because maybe the first time I was misdiagnosed, I was given like a depression, whatever I had. Then I was given.
Oh, you've been misdiagnosed.
Yes, the first time I was misdiagnosed.
Oh, okay.
Because when I went in, I think I was in my my whatever.
Okay.
It's mania and what? Yes, depressive. That's actually. So you have a depressive state and the manic state. The maniac state is the best, man.
Okay.
I can do 3 days of whatever.
Oh yeah, I saw Maribel. She said she has seasons where she'll wake up today and she'll do everything. Like she'll wash the house, do her job, like everything.
What are you saying?
I'm like, what?
It's beautiful. Let me tell you, mania is beautiful. Mania, you can be whatever it is that you want. All the good things I've done have been my manic phase. Even that fellowship where I met Ivanna, where Ivanna was confusing men from Africa. I proper because I vied for student leadership. I won yada. But then there's the time when it dips. So I think when I went, I was in a dip because it had been months of just sleeping, not showering, not eating. Like I would eat only when my friends would come around, but I wasn't interested in food. And then so when I went to the hospital, this doctor stays with me like 15-30 minutes, and then she says, no, he has depression. And then she spends more time talking to the person who had brought me than she did. So I was mighty offended. Anyways, the antidepressants were absolutely awesome for the first couple of days, and then they started affecting my vision, and it was anyways, generally, because the point was about depression and anxiety, generally I'm a very I'm in a very safe space. I'm generally in a very safe environment. I have no threat of physical danger, emotional danger. But why do you wake up with a heart that's racing for 1 hour? You're paralyzed. It's like you're in trouble.
With the medication.
Me, because I even had to get off of that. Then now after misdiagnosis, now I was in it. Now after the medication, of course, alleviated it, and then now I took like a break, and then I'm just like, So if you're sad and then now you're waking up like you're in trouble, I can't imagine, because for me, I tend to imagine that it's kind of easier because kind of get to decide my hours with terms of work and whatnot. But if you consistently have to need to a routine, it's unbearable.
It's disrupting.
It is. It has to disrupt. It has to disrupt your thing. But anyways,
it must be.
There. Love and light to whoever sent that.
Love and light. I don't know about depression.
Yeah.
I can't diagnose myself with anxiety.
Lovely.
But I have mad anxiety.
Beautiful.
Like my anxiety is not for either.
Yes.
I
proper.
anxiety.
You want to puke, the world is spinning.
Actually, in Primo, when I was and people thought, the way I'm speaking here, and people think I look so calm.
sour,
Yeah.
In Primo, because this, what are they called? Public speaking,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to cut myself. So if you cut, if blood flows, I feel less
Focuses
anxious.
the pain.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
Me
I
for
just
me,
knew in Primo I used to either hold a pin or
Yes.
a razor.
Rawembe.
And how did you discover that?
I don't know. Maybe I think there was one day I was nervous and then I pricked. I don't know. And I think blood oozing off felt like the anxiety was oozing off.
Maze
And it
pole
felt-
bana. Kwani hizi nini umepita?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. I was just like, and then see people used to say, I
Your
used to
host
know-
has been through it, man. This episode is for herself. Daktari, please take care of our host.
You see, I've never even mentioned this experience because I thought it was normal.
Right. Oh, man.
Even Kaz is complaining.
Please help our host, man.
Ukifika hosi ukidhani you're sick and then you see a
Man, a
sick
sick person tells you you're sick, man. You know you're in trouble.
But anyway, me, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I maybe I've gotten better ways to handle it with
Yeah.
time. But I know, like, even right now, I've not eaten. I can't eat before the episodes because I am just nervous. Like, it's... But you just learn to live with it.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoy the pain for tattoos.
Right.
It's very orgasmic to me. But I don't know.
Kisungu kubwa.
Kaz toka nje.
I'm sorry. Nisameheni.
But anyway, I don't know. I don't know about depression. That would be I'm speaking as a layman.
Right,
completely. I'm
right.
glad we have people here who have experience and are in the field. But as a layman, completely, I think I was in the bouts of depression probably 2017, 2016, where I've never gone for diagnosis. I just know what I was feeling. And I was hella suicidal at the time.
Right,
Completely suicidal. And there's a name for it. Maybe you people know it.
Passive suicidality?
Where if you can't kill yourself, but if you
If
saw
the
a
opportunity, yes.
situation,
I think it's
you are not
passive
avoiding
suicidality.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought, so I've always thought maybe 2016, 2017, I was depressed. I don't know. But anxiety, I know I'm more anxious than the ordinary person. I don't know.
Very
When you
nice.
said more anxious than the ordinary person, what does that mean?
Because
In comparison to?
Because a lot of times when I tell someone, if someone sees me not eating or like fidgeting with my legs, they'll ask me, what is that? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah.
Or so you just eat.
Right.
Or so you just go.
Right.
Yeah.
Even
And
if
I
you're
can't-
depressed, just
yeah, I
smile.
can't-
Just be happy. What do you mean you guys are depressed? Just be happy.
And everyone in my life is just like, see you just.
Yeah.
So I've always thought maybe
If you have asthma, just breathe.
Maybe
Just breathe in, man. Don't complicate this thing.
Pumue.
Pumua.
This is the one thing you were created
Yeah, just-
to do. Just breathe. I mean,
Right.
like,
But let me say something. I think people are very intolerant of other people's weaknesses, not realizing that everyone is not strong. You know, like maybe they're looking at Olive and like, this is a strong girl, you know.
Oh,
Ideally.
Has
yeah.
her shit together. And then you realize even Olive is just as human as you. And we all go through this anxiety, anxious feelings and sad
Yeah.
feelings, you know. And it's normal. I think
Yeah.
now because of the fact that people are doing that to you, it's kind of gaslighting you to feel like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
That's lighting. Pia ni kizungu
Everyone
kubwa.
has these anxious thoughts, honestly, to be honest. It's just how you manage it and also how you talk to yourself and the kind of support system I think you have.
Support system is zero.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think for sure, I think that's the issue.
I think support systems are very important for
Yeah.
different situations, like the different episodes we've had before, whether it was death, whether it was just childbirth, whether it was parenting.
Yeah.
If you have a good support system, that shit changes your life
It does
completely.
for sure.
For
Yeah.
someone who doesn't have support and for someone who has, it's like the privilege of St. Andrews, Turi, and Upper Westlands Primary.
Turi hoye. Turi hoye.
Because you have to also recognize your privilege when it comes to support.
Support,
I, who have not had someone like me my whole life, it might be different for you who's seen people who are more empathetic with your situation
Right.
For
in your
sure.
life.
Honestly,
So
I do think so.
But also, you know, the support thing is not a doing of your own, because as we get older, the walkable communities. Like in campus, it would be easier. We were more broke, but man, we were happy as hell. I was telling someone, Maze, we used to live. We were like, if we started a reality show of how we used to live in Ngara, we'd be so rich, man. And we were pure comedy. Because also all of us just became sort of famous. Tulikuwa tunakaa hivi, tumeka kwa nyumba 2 days. Unashanga, I'm coolly. Tunaingia day 3, but also gonna do a fair. It was so sus. But and even me, because when I went to the hospital thing.
Yeah.
It was also just because, you grew up and then you isolated. But it was cheaper when we were in Campo because your friends were around. And you lived in flats which had maybe your schoolmates or fellow campus people. Yeah. And when you're in campus, you could walk around. But right now, your BFF lives where?
True.
By the time you don't even have the money to make that connection happen. And a lot of people have grown up and they're like, well, Christianity is a hoax. Now you don't go to church. You don't even have that church circle. And then at work, you cannot. You could be church hurt, But just the general access to people, like just cheap access to people who si lazima nijiintroduce kama si lazima nikuja na pesa hata sadaka si compulsory, like ukishaingia tu hivi brethren, beloved.
Cheap is actually the word I'm bold and underlining.
Yes.
Because we realize that also things like therapy, mental wellness talks, this conversation we are having, it's almost elite.
It is. It's privilege, bro.
It's not, while you're trying to survive, like in 2016 while I was trying to just get food in my tummy, you wouldn't fucking tell me that I need a therapist. You should go check if you're on the spectrum.
Like
what?
Which one? Of hunger. Equal WHO already.
You're looking for food.
Yes. Right.
So
Right.
You also recognize privilege that comes with being able to just afford.
So to that, I'd say, do mental illnesses then become a luxury? Because part of the podcasters who are like the manosphere and whatnot, they're like, depression is a luxury. The child who's working in the mines in Congo, the man who's working 18 hours a day in underground does not have the luxury to be depressed because they have to be to provide for their families. So how do you reconcile those kinds of extremities? Because while this is also, it still costs you money to put this together.
Yes.
And guys, please, we need sponsors. Please
send
money. What the way Olive is treating us here.
I have a whole intro for just begging.
Just do it.
And you can see how amazing she is.
Yeah. And
thank you. Bless
so
you.
please, if you're touched, do the thing down there. Consistent. This episode needs to be an earner. Very good.
Yeah, it's healing life.
Yes.
Touching mind.
So how do you reconcile that? Because part of the thing that makes me super disgusted with myself is if I look at life in terms of hardship, just recently I've had it pretty easy, fairly easy. Why do I still have? Where's my mind? Why do I have to be hospitalized for stuff like bipolar or depression, anxiety? And some of the people who came to my rescue, who came to my aid, are people who are having it rougher than I do. So I find it difficult to reconcile. Daktari, how do you unpack that in such a way that it's okay? Because we've said privilege and now I'm curious.
No, I think first of all, privilege is what makes you look like you have like you're able to get visibility with your mental health issue.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're not in a position to access help, you don't get the attention you need.
All right.
People are not there for you.
Okay.
Or people don't even care. They're like, hey, you have to deal with what's going on with you. And there's mental health issues in the informal.
Yes.
Like, a lot.
For sure.
And it's unfortunate how it ends up playing out on how if you go there and see the situations with people who have mental health issues, they're there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a fragment of our imagination just because we have privilege.
Right.
No. It's just because now you're able to deal with it in a way that you get attention, you're able to get support, you're like, you guys help me with this, guys help me with this, and so and you're able to articulate as you said before.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you have a problem, I think I've noticed there's a child who I saw on a program and the child killed his 2 brothers.
Hey.
And so, of course, that's a mental health issue. But no one is bothered to find out what mental health issue that kid had.
No.
He's in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no one cares. No one has, there's no one who's going to pay for this mental health support. And so it's happening. It's happening.
Even just the information,
Yeah.
I think it's privilege enough to have information.
Yeah.
Because I remember my cousin, I think, fainted
Yeah.
when we were not kids, maybe up or high school. And she was taken to hospital and the doctor diagnosed her with something with exhaustion. And it spread like wildfire in their family. It was just like, "Uya liambiwa oshe vyombo," and then I would diagnose exhaustion. Without the knowledge, to us it was just like, she's so lazy, she was asked to wash dishes, she fainted, and this is someone who was dealing with a lot in school. Later on is like when I'm talking to her and then she was like, I was getting bullied, there was like, and then you've come home, parents are also parenting,
right.
African parents, so it was just a lot for her, and in that moment she just blacked out. And even her, she doesn't know.
I will check out now.
But from the story we have is just she was called
lazy.
Do the dishes, and then she fainted. So you see, that's the narrative that we are running with.
Right.
And looking back now, I'm just so sad. I wish I could hug her in that moment. Well, right now I can still talk to her and we can discuss it. But in that moment, I just look back and I'm like, can you imagine? I don't know, like it was just bad.
Could it be that, and this just struck me, correct me if it's a wrong thought, could it be that we usually use humor or sarcasm as a way of coping? Because it's almost like a sigh of relief that, mazesi kitu serious. So now what we do, because let me tell you, my friends are the worst. Like dudes will see you survive as long as you didn't die. They're like, let's order a depressor for this guy. Like they'll make, as long as it didn't take you out, they'll make fun of it. But it's almost as if they're expressing like a sigh of relief, and not to make light of your cousin's situation. But I feel like maybe that's what, because they're like, at least it's not hypertension. Yeah. So now we default to the other side, and we're just like, nini.
Also, they don't know how to appreciate that someone could have a problem that is not physical.
Right. A disability should be seen.
Right.
It's something that you need to know. This problem is my legs, my head, my this. Yeah. So,
What aside, kufaint ilienda wapi?
People don't faint.
To faint. We've lost the culture. Guys don't. Wongo. Ukweli.
Yeah, I've worked in high schools and they do get panic attacks and faint.
Lakini unajua hii iko na preamble inaanza na panic attack. Like when we were younger, like mtu alikuwa anaanguka tu nasikia class 7 amefanya mambo yake. Analetewa maziwa. Sorry, let me not derail the conversation.
I'm just
fainting and nose bleeding. I feel like
me I'm a nose bleeder.
Pole for the culture. It's been a while. Nearly nose bleed. The other day I was like, should I document this? It's been a while. I've not seen people nose bleed as much.
People have learned how to deal with the
you just because me I nose bled so much. I just knew you sneeze, you see blood, you go cut onion, you smell. Onion removes the whole whatever, the booger with the blood.
Hey, me life hack naisikia mara ya kwanza, by the way.
Me I used to nosebleed so much. I had everything at the tips of my fingers. Yeah, so I know.
Awesome. I'm trying an onion the next time I nosebleed. That's beautiful.
Unashika hivi.
Yeah.
Inatoa makamasi yote.
Very nice.
When you know how to deal with it, doesn't come again.
Oh yeah.
When you know how to deal with something, it never comes to you.
And that's the thing which I feel like that makes this conversation really important. When we know how to suffer, we suffer better. I feel like we suffer well. It's not that people are not going through things, it's just that we go through them. Yes, it's painful, but it's sort of convenient.
Our life has a sense of humor, and now it goes looking for something else to bring in. Now that
all right.
unakaa vizuri, unaishi vizuri.
Ni nini?
Okay.
Right.
So there's I think this is someone in the psychology field who said this. So if we don't have any thoughts on it, it's also fine. But she says, great work on the podcast. Autism is actually not a mental disorder or mental illness. It's a neurological and development disorder. I did not know this. Is this true?
Yes.
It's not classified under mental.
It's a developmental disorder. That's why you say they're socially awkward. Yeah, you can be depressed, but
And they have
you know how
learning
to network.
difficulties,
Yes.
yeah.
Or because autism cannot be acquired. Is it because of that?
Like,
No,
I
but
think you're born
the
with it.
genetics.
Most people
Yeah,
are born with it.
you-
But Nini as well. Akina bipolar, right? They can run in the
What
family.
I realize is guys are vibing with bipolar, especially bipolar. Akina daktari over here, vibes.
Oh, really?
These guys are vibing. Kabisa.
I thought
Bipolar, kwanza, I could have bipolar and then you can have bipolar and then our toy won't have bipolar. And even then, like, the chances are really low.
The first person I know who had bipolar told me even my father has it, so it runs in the
Yes,
family.
the proclivity is there.
It could run in the family, but you live without it until one day you get a trigger.
Yeah.
And then now this thing comes up.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because I've seen people who just are normal, they're okay, they're good until one day something rocks their boat. Yeah, and you need to prepare people for things not to rock their boat.
Right,
Because when something rocks your boat, it will trigger something that you never knew existed in your lineage or in your head or somewhere, like in your mind.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's triggers that make people now bipolar, depression, anxiety. You're born okay until one day something.
But for anxiety, why I feel like I can't claim anxiety, because I always thought I thought mental illness runs in the family. That's why I couldn't claim anxiety.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like anxiety was acquired.
Okay.
It was those experiences that I had at home that would make me feel so anxious about public speaking. And for me, mostly it was just, you can't let your family down. You can't let your it was just, you had to be the perfect human to have ever existed.
Right.
So maybe I think that's where I acquired anxiety. I don't think it's something I was born with or have always had.
Yeah.
It's the experiences you've had through
It's
life.
like
that
trauma
have made you
response-ish.
Yes. Anxious.
But autism is different. And that's why I was saying it's like white people who claim it. Like, we don't have enough information. Because even the way we used to treat like autistic people, do you know, like, we just need to heal, to put you a break, to hagiane sisi wote, uhag mse umeaikosea. Because in primary school,
Can you speak for yourself? I've always been a kind person.
not me, I'm just saying just systems, the way systems handled like autistic people. It was disgusting.
And is it true that autism actually exists on a spectrum?
Yes.
Where most of, not most of us, but we could be adults who are sort of autistic
But
on
you
this,
didn't know.
but we don't know.
Yeah, it could be. That's why
But you're
now
high
that is on a it's on a spectrum, and just as Ivanna correctly put it, it's and also as a psychologist put it, as a developmental issue, it's quite like, if you meet autistic people, while they might have like struggles communicating or just reading the room and whatnot, because they know they miss social cues, they also now go and research and become very nerdy or geeky about it. Or also then they're very good at the arts or a sport. Yes, like they can hyper focus on a thing and zero in. And that's what I've seen on social media, where someone says, "Oh, because I'm a gamer now, I understand if level 900 a game, I'm autistic." We can't claim it because our economic structure does not allow us to claim. It does not allow us. Tukubalia to depression yet. Like, there's access. Hatuwezi. There's a kind of what do you tell me? Hey, waniambia
Mbona hamna heshima kwa hii topic serious hivi?
Hakuna. Mosikia mtu anaishi kwa bedsita na claim OCD. Hakuna. It's the older people who have clean, who have kitchen tops. You can't.
No, me, I was accused of OCD even in my bed sitter.
You are kasafi.
Because my mom came and then she went and told my sisters.
Yeah.
Kwa ole hata ujui kama ukae chini, hata ujui weke bagwa.
It's like,
Everything is.
You tell me
it's
which one is more convenient to claim in a bed sitter? Depression versus OCD. Depression, because everything is there.
Yeah.
It's
Align na narrative.
inakaa hivyo ama ADHD kwa sababu hujakunja manguo. But the more you unlock the levels, there's levels to this to the madness.
yeah, no, but it's true.
For sure. There's a need to the madness.
Aya, mwache jokes. Cha serious sasa.
All right.
This was a bit longer, but it will basically cover a lot of things we need to discuss.
Take your time.
Hi, Olive. Hope you are doing amazing. Just wanted to contribute on the topic about mental disorders. As a victim of severe depression and bipolar disorder, it's a toll. It's tough, especially at this moment of my life where I'm going through a lot. Holding up has been a struggle, but regardless, we force ourselves to continue enduring. Suicidal thoughts and the urge of self-harm has been like a day-to-day thought. Anger issues on the very core of my heart. It's also sad not to be understood and judged, gaslit. Wait, what's the meaning of gaslight?
I could gaslight you on that. Is it gaslit, gaslighted?
She's written gaslighted.
Yeah, I'm trying to gaslight you on that.
I gaslighted,
All right, gaslit.
and looked down upon
Yeah.
and even be accused of faking and lying.
Ooh.
Okay. So let's start with that last point that she said.
Yeah.
Faking and lying. Again, a movie reference. I am so sorry, guys. I'm just so sorry. But
You're just animated. We understand.
Thank you. Crazy ex-girlfriend. She gets diagnosed with borderline.
Personality disorder.
Yes.
Right.
Later on, like this is juices on what? And the first thought that comes to her is, I'm mad, I'm crazy, I'm crazy. And then all the things she's been doing, like the way you said you had manic episodes, all the manic episodes she's had
Flashing back.
start to
Come to her.
calculate. They're now summing up. And then to her, she thinks immediately, I'm a horrible person and I'm a danger to everyone around me. And therefore she now tries to get away.
Yeah.
So again, I told you guys over and over to go and watch that movie. Now it's outside Netflix. Now go and look for it where. But it gave me so much insight into the people. It was her mother who kept saying, what is wrong with you? Why don't you just be normal? So yeah, anyway, we can go from.
But I think when people say that you're faking or you're lying, they just don't understand what you're saying. So I think many people who don't understand mental health or mental health disorders cannot comprehend what you're saying. You tell them I'm sick, they're like, what are you saying? Yeah, I can imagine telling my grandma that, I have bipolar. She's like, who, and even in mother tongue, she'll be like, who told you? What is that?
What is
Umesema mother tongue kiasi. Kiasi tu.
It's white people problems,
Yeah.
Yeah, sisemi.
Please.
But how do you? Okay, let me see. I wanted to ask, how is it the role of the person who has the condition to find ways to explain it to people? Because even me right now, I could be as knowledgeable as I know, but I still don't know what bipolar is. I still don't know what it looks like. People who've told me they have bipolar, I see them, but I don't know what a manic episode looks like. I don't know what.
Hiyo sasa ndio iko juu, hiyo ndio inabamba. Nitafute hiyo time. Mama nikutafute. Acha nitakutafuta nikuonyeshe.
But I think it's the job of the person to explain what they're going through. I think it's only from that we can understand what are you going through.
Yeah, because I'm imagining now telling your grandma, I have bipolar. Like, why aren't you even trying to make it palatable for her? Like, cut it into chunks.
I had the privilege of being admitted with like a bunch of people. The nut house I went to, and I formed really close friends. And we had because I feel like I've told you, bipolar is vibes.
Yeah.
Bipolar is vibes even to the profession. And it's not as straightforward as dealing with like an addiction if you're helping people work an alcoholic program or a Narcotics Anonymous program. And so I'd sit with this babe and I was like, I'm aware of faking it. I was like, do you ever feel at some point like I'm a ninini?
Well, yeah.
So I can totally understand. I empathize with that person who feels like other people would look at it and think it's faking. But also because if you're like the role you play in your friend group, again, goes back to like if you have a community that you can plug into. Because also, we live in a society where right now we don't hold space for each other.
That's true.
It's you come correct or you don't come at all. So if you talk here and you want to behave how you get outside. And so I can totally see it. But like anyone who has because I've had conversations I'm laughing about it right now because I think about it. I think it's so humorous. Because even the medication is a joke. So the doctors will prescribe a thing, and then they'll tell you. Of course, they wouldn't tell you, but me, this is how I see it play out. They're like, "Boo, vibe with this for 2 weeks." Because I was put on such a dose, and then part of because you know me, for me, I was also hearing voices. Not for me.
But why are you saying it like that? Like, why are you?
I'm sorry. So I was in an accident with this babe, and then I got into a bad road accident on Thika Road, and so I was at the hospital, I could still hear her screaming and yada yada yada. So as long as you're hearing voices, bro.
And Oko quite schizophrenic.
Yes. So now I was on meds that schizophrenics have. And do you know what they give schizophrenics? That's also like another area where there's just vibing. Because it's also the same medication they use to treat epileptics. Yes. And I was on such a high dose. I remember I missed a dose like this. And I finally understood why the Joker or Sijui hardly behaves the way they behave. Because the first time I felt like my body was cooperating with me in the pursuit of suicide. You see, generally it's very difficult for a grown adult to live, and a child, a child has no will to live. You go to msahau umemfunika blanketi, I'm sorry, but generally, even when you're going through suicidal phases, there's always that small still voice that's just wait, is this it, is it not? When I missed my meds once, and I was at a gig, I was in Chiromo, and I remember it's the first time, because I was even choking and having a seizure and whatnot, and everything had aligned where I was just yes, the body and the soul have agreed. Oops, tafadhali, check us out. Okay. So it's again, they're there.
It's a bit it's complex.
Kabisa.
It's very complex because
if people feel like you're faking it, you can't blame them as well, because they don't understand it. Even you don't understand it, because as a person who's going through it, you're just why am I going through this? So I feel like it's also just that thing for holding space for each other, and I feel like that really, really helps. I know I have it way better than a lot of people, because some of my friends who tell me don't do this way, because a lot of people will be like, if you're going through something, call me. Even you, if you're going through something, anyone, and I'm not talking about going through something that one for OCG, you have another girlfriend, if you're going through something proper, your first thought is never to call someone.
True.
I don't know, because we kind of feel like we want to guard ourselves, but there's a friend of mine who's grieving, and he called me, and he was crying. And it's the first time I was just this man meant what he said. And that flipped it for me, because I have a community of people who are just oh yeah, if you feel like this, yada, 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 yada. And now I know that this man and it's not that it's he had not proven to be a consistent friend. He had, but I just felt this fully humanized his help. And so I feel also part of it is humanizing each other beyond our experiences.
Vulnerable with each other.
It is. Yeah.
So when we talk about extending grace or just humanizing and being there, again, I'll just go back to crazy ex-girlfriend.
Let's go.
While she was going through her episodes, she just does things, guys. It's wild.
Yeah.
I think there's a scene where she literally breaks up with a guy she likes and then takes another guy home from the very same party, a guy she's never. It was just something wild. And I'm thinking, I was looking at it as an outsider, as their friends around her, as their family. Yeah. And I was like, I think I'd support her day one, day two. I don't know how much grace, this elasticity. Correct. I don't know how elastic my grace is.
Yeah.
And I was just I've always been very scared. Am I showing up for people enough? how much grace is grace? At what point?
Whatever you have. Is what
Yeah.
is grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't give what you don't have.
That's
The
true.
other thing is you only have enough grace that you have. You can't give more than you have, or you'll feel resentful. Whatever you have, you give. Ikishaisha, anapata huyo mwingine
Hope
next.
atapata mwingine.
Atapata.
Yeah.
As
Also-
long as they have their community, I think, as Kaz is saying, you have to have people around you that you've been vulnerable with, and they've been vulnerable with you. And that's who your support system is.
Okay.
Utakapitia also you are going to screw up, my friend.
Yeah.
And you also have to be okay with facing the consequences of your actions. As you've had, grace does not extend forever.
It's
So
just mine. Maybe there are people with
kuna
more.
just generally
No, we are
generally
people
if you have like if you're dealing with like an addiction or like an illness of this kind which makes you do crazy things, you will cross a line that is irrevocable.
No, Kaz, let me ask. So when you're with bipolar, if you take your meds, you
Yeah.
don't have to have the money attack. You don't have the money attack.
So what it does, it
Yeah.
it kind of evens you.
Yeah.
It's nice. I think it just keeps you stable. But I hate medication because it robs you of life.
Yeah.
I experienced, like, for me now, I became a zombie. I was just like, yeah. And then, part of, they have side effects. Like, for me, it was so bad. Shall I? I had like I'm a pianist. Ideally, you want to sit still. Or if you're moving your body, it's because you're dancing. But now I had wobbly feet. And that affects the tempo of whatever it is that you're playing. Two, man, I don't know about other people, but I couldn't get my morning wood for weeks on end. Do you know, as a person who
Does not drink.
brethren, and this was revealed to me in a dream. But generally, as a person who's like very maybe sexually
Motivated.
motivated, highly driven,
Yeah.
ideally, and also because as a healthy human being, I'd be like, at the very least, this is one thing I get. I remember from when I got into the institution until I came out, I'd even answer the questions that asked me, how often do you think about sex? Never. I was like going from to not even
being
thinking
active,
about.
yeah.
So for me, those are part of the qualms I had with medication. And so it kind of levels it out.
Levels you
It levels you out if you want to. If you're living like, if you have like an 8 to 5, your life is predictable and whatnot, and you're not trying to do remarkable things. Yeah,
it's
it works.
If
It
you're
kind of
average.
works. If you're average, it works. But if the world lied to you, it set you up and told you you're going to be a great person, like Akina Olive. Olive, just pray you don't get it. You've survived. You've survived a lot. Uko sawa.
I'm in my 30s.
Uko sawa. You've looked at the threshold.
You know the way I'm so scared of getting chicken pox. I never got chicken pox.
Walai? Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, we're the special one.
Kwani mlikuwa mnaishi nini? Hii ni privilege, by the way.
Me now, I was living in shags. Some diseases are for Nairobians.
Gosh, no. This is like I think it's a rare thing. I've never met people who
Oh, really?
2 of them in one room.
Oh, really? Everyone had chicken pox.
Yes. Si unaambiwa utakufa, si ulikuwa unajua. Count it all joy that you have it now. Unatembea hapo ukiwa hivi umedotiwa pink hivi, unaambiwa maze, if you have it later you're gonna
Yeah, we were told in
die.
our adulthood.
Yeah,
But me,
utakufa.
I've lived my best life.
For
Inaweza
sure.
kuja
Hata
ifanye
mimi
ni
niko
sawa.
chini.
Only you're not getting chicken pox.
Imagine you die ugly.
Nini, kwani nimewakosea? You want me to-
Ngoja.
What's the problem of me dying like this?
There's something you said.
Yeah.
You said it levels you out. So there's a girl called Maribel on TikTok who also does videos on mental wellness. And she said she also has bipolar, actually.
Ooh.
And she said the problem with the meds is that she has to choose between ever being creative again.
Yes.
So now if you want to stay sane, then you're never in the space to create something amazing, to give people results that they've seen before. So the worry here could be there's someone you did something for that was completely above and beyond, and now they come back and we cannot match that. Yeah. So
I'll tell you a pal of mine who was quite insistent on helping me get like back on meds and whatnot. I was like, I feel like it's too steep a price to pay. We all don't have to live to 100. Guys who are kerere like me, we get into trouble somehow. We die at like 35. Not because that I'm this is not me courting death. It's just that I've seen my personality. I've read about guys who are tomboy. I'm always on the street somehow. For what? For a demonstration. Some things you want to get into politics. Somehow it's gonna happen. And so I'm like, it's too steep a price to pay. I'm like, be depressed for a month or two, like January, February. Beautiful months. I've done nothing. I've been a cabbage. But now I'm getting out, and I feel like I'm getting out of the shell. Because when I saw the text of you asking me to come to the pod, I was just like, I was just like, yes, enters the mania. And I'm like, that, and then I have like a manic face, and then I'll crash kidogo versus just being a chilled out zombie. I'm like, let me take this one.
So without the meds?
Yes, without the meds. It's risky. Would not recommend. I know as a doctor
actually I was gonna say something else. I don't actually support medication.
Okay.
I really do try if I get someone for therapy, because I'm not a clinical psychologist.
Okay.
I'm not a doctor.
Yes.
I don't diagnose and I don't give medication, but I still am on the side where I think you can handle yourself without medication. And even if you use medication, it should be short term to help you kind of regulate your emotions, get some help, and then now continue on your own. So I like that.
But you know, Mazi, the way when you walk into a hospital, and that's what makes me even really scared of even admitting that I'm not on meds, because if I ever walk back in, bro, I'm not surviving, because even for me, I caused chaos. I didn't leave at it because they discharged me. They caused chaos in the hospital, got everyone in trouble, and I said I am leaving this place tomorrow. Everyone was just like, tumeona sisi wote tulikuwa tumekasirika, nikasema mimi nitatoka hapa kesho. And it kind of worked. But when you get into such a thing, and there's a doctor, I used to think, this doctor is my friend. And it was not even friend like that. I felt understood by this particular doctor. He was not quick to medicate. He was just like, go and read about this. You've done your psychoevolution, your DSM, whatever. Go and read. Then we will work on a medication plan. Of course, then I was taken to hospital before we could do it. By the time I was going back, now I went back to Zushia, this hospital, because I had a seizure, and I was like, why? And why did you guys not help? I couldn't even count on the support of this other person, because they were like, he also recommends. My friend called this other doctor. He was like, we recommend he stays in hospital for 90 days. And these people have specific companies they send you to. There, like, go and buy these drugs to these people.
The pharmaceutical.
Bro, let me tell you. And that's why I'm like, while doctors, no hate, but what? Those people are like, it's like a money whatever.
It's health in general, because I don't know if you saw my story before I started wearing glasses. I was on antibiotics for 3 full weeks treating UTI.
Let's go.
UTI macho.
Let's go.
I was in 3 towns seeing doctors.
Absolutely love it.
And it's the last doctor who was just like,
Tafadhali, have you considered that maybe
it's just your eyes?
UTI.
And I'm just UTI.
Napenda sana, by the way. The patriarchy strikes again.
Oh gosh.
The patriarchy and capitalism had a baby. It's Dani's eyesight, by the way.
Believe it. I could not believe. I was supposed to go in for, what is it called? That scan. Oh, the one that I know the cheapest is 40K.
Hey.
I was to go for an MRI. Guys, I'm just long-sighted. That's my only mistake. I was just long-sighted.
Kasema hapana. We have analyzed thee.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful for yourself.
Sana, for sure.
Let me ask you something. I have another question. So do you feel like mental health illnesses happen to the very smart people? Like, you're so smart until kuna mali tu the wire just goes. And it goes.
As a smart person, quite literally, you're a proud man. And you're even actually more susceptible to things like narcissism, because I'm smart. Why are you guys not supplicating? And this is a problem I have. Like, as a musician, I'm absolutely amazing, but I don't like preparing things. I'm the guy you call in for your dress rehearsal. That's when the most of it comes out. And just I've always navigated life as the guy who shikas things really quickly and I move on haraka. So for smart people, it's because you're idle. But I'm not necessarily saying, I don't want to make it look like, also because I'm not at as smart. I'm just like slightly above average. Watu wengi wako average. So please pia tusijidanganye sana. I'm not as smart.
But watu walijaza crusade ya Benny Hinn, so.
Umeenda huko? Umeamua?
Wewe unajua.
Say majority are smart.
Hatari. Yeah, so it can happen to anyone really.
Yeah.
Just depending on whatever it is that you've gone through, your trauma or your spicy memories.
How you're dealing with them.
How you're dealing, for sure. That's what I would mean. I wouldn't necessarily say, as a smart person, again, access. You get to kind of certain illnesses more than others.
Why I was saying that is because I feel also people who are very let me say genius, they really extend their brains. They really go to great lengths of their brain that might look like their mental health, but it's just maybe.
I'm just
like
passionate.
Super smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's why
Haya, you've triggered another discussion that needs to be said. Now, this being dumb and being smart in school, and especially the Kenyan 844 system. I don't know how the British system is working. Montessori, people who have kids, you can keep up.
Let's go.
But I think I don't know what your thoughts are. I just want to hear your thoughts on how I know smart people who just could not pass exams. That was our only problem. And someone like me, I was even like really good in math, biology and English. Is this zingine msiniitishe, please? So, and it was such a struggle to just be like, but I'm good in this. Why can't I just get like credits for this first?
Yeah.
I just want to know your thoughts on, especially the education system. People who we knew were dumb. Sasa umekazana uko drama, na unaanguka exam. I mean, I'm a good singer, drama, whatever. But I don't know. Let's just talk about the school system first of all, because it's traumatized us in multiple ways.
For me, I think people call me smart, but quite literally, I think I was just curious. I think we kind of need curiosity with that. And then now you couple it with, like, I'm very, very curious.
And eloquence. I get away with a lot with just
That's
eloquence.
it.
Sometimes I'm just saying.
So now you imagine.
you're not saying anything.
Hey, I'm just not saying
I'm
just not using filler words. And then someone's just like, you're so smart.
Oh my
And you're using your
goodness.
English
You know, I just like tonal variation and whatnot. But for me, how I really navigated primary
My
school.
TikTok cooking career. I'm so I am not. What exactly am I saying? Please tell me what exactly I am saying.
Saying a lot but not getting a lot said.
But we find it.
It's a good time. It's just a good time. Anyway,
Which is great also, because eloquence requires I feel also it's a function of loneliness, because generally we are not meant to be eloquent, because how conversations are supposed to happen, you're not supposed to contribute for so long. If we're in a communal setting, unaleta kidogo, huyu analeta kidogo. Inafai kwa kidogo. So eloquence hivyo alafu tunajaza kibaba, ideally in an ideal setting. So if you're eloquent, it's also I appreciate the fact that you've taken some time alone, and we need to interrogate you. Yes, you are not you're the weak link in the society, or you're the whatever.
You had to just stay alone and talk.
Yes, you have to. It is any eloquent person, if you chunguza them properly.
That's true.
Utapata wako na hiyo. Wako na hiyo shida kiasi.
When we're having conversations like this, but if I was to just what's on my mind, and I'm alone, that's easy.
Selfishness. I will diagnose you.
Yeah, and
but
this
is not
people are like, oh, Olive, you're such an extrovert.
Right.
If you remove me from those four corners in that house,
yes.
I cannot talk. I can't tell you what I was saying 2 minutes ago.
Right.
So sometimes it's just,
so also, primary school was very easy to navigate. Quite generally for me is because my dad had a bookshop and then ikafungwa. So nikakula stock. So nilisoma tu kila kitu. So by the time nilikuwa class 7, I was one of those kids who are ready to do KCSE at KCPE at class 7. Even class 6, like I would write a composition, the whole school is told, kijana ure ameandika sijui nini.
But that in itself, that makes you different in the sense that there are people, even if wangepewa stock yote, they still cannot pass it. They still don't understand things like that. They can't.
Sawa, but then you get to uni. And then uni, because uni is a great equalizer, because you know those people who we thought were slow, they kind of developed a work ethic. Me, that's the thing I'm struggling with. I'm just like, if I had half the work ethic I had in class 7, I usually tell people a lot of the English I know, I knew by class 7.
That's true.
Mi niliongeza tu kitu.
Everything we are using.
Mi niliongeza tu kidogo tu high school. Kidogo tu, but
that's all.
Let me tell you, because I read so much in primary school. Students Companion ilikuwa hapa. Sijui nini ilikuwa hapa. Like, compositions zetu zilikuwa zinatokea kwa golden tips. And I'm just like, even though I used to raise up girls, I looked at my Facebook DMs. The girl I was hitting on in Form 1, Form 2. Baby girl, if you're watching this thing. Anyways, but you develop, because also there's different types of intelligence. As you aptly put it, there's people who would excel in math and whatnot, and people who excel in the arts. And then there's people who just generally know how to handle people and those kinds of things. But just if you were to think about it academically, by which we usually kind of measure the smartness in our education system, the ability to regurgitate or whatever, I didn't think I had to, I didn't have to memorize it because I'd done it so many times. Like by the time tunaingia class 7, mimi niko class 8. Nilishafanya hiyo kitu, babangu alikuwa obsessed because alikuwa obsessed kunifundisha sijui compound interest, simple interest. Like hizo ni vitu alinifunza class 4. So nikiingia class 8 niko like, kwani amjui?
No, but then that means your method of learning. I learned methods of learning quite recently when I was doing career coaching. And it is only then that I learned the things that I even use on my commentaries for like TikTok videos. All of it is like knowledge from school, but I couldn't get that shit when I was in school. But right now I realize I recall them because I've interacted with them. If you tell me this phone is black, I don't know how to register that phone is black until I see it and I see that phone is black. So I've really struggled with object permanence, just things I can't see. So you're telling me about sijui Golgi bodies.
Nephron. Proximal convoluted tubule.
If you don't cut and show me Golgi bodies, I don't know.
Galaxy.
If you're telling me about the Alps, you're telling me about CG. What are these things called that now I'm so used to? When you go to the coast, you see sea urchin.
Right.
Those things were in geography, and you can't remember that shit. Right now, you guys are buying stones for your engagement rings.
Yes.
Unakumbuka rocks. Yeah, but right now you know all your stones. You know the one you want on sijui what ring. I was just like, I'm the kind of person who has to interact.
Right.
To learn. But I can imagine my whole life I was convinced I'm dumb. Oh, yes, that's the name.
Ooh.
I was convinced I'm dumb because guys. So I learned there's different.
Naona flex on us. Tumalize daktari, finish us.
Yeah, but that is just I needed to.
Because if you think about it, even that intelligence thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays we think that lawyers are really smart people, but if you think about it,
nowadays
mulikuwa wale watu hamwezi fanya math.
Kwanza
na jog. Like, but nowadays the people who like smart, I feel like it's a social construct. Because every single time I've appeared, just because I'm in a suit and I can talk kind of fast, yo, Akili, I'm like, you know.
And people should know.
Oh gosh.
People should know these things go a long way. So when I learned methods of learning, it really served me as a manager. I created the most productive team in that company. Because I was like, we unashikaga text. Aya, unaona hii video, I'll summarize it for you in text and send it to you. So I had a very productive team because I'd create either video, audio, text, depending on how they'll like take it up. So like people just need to be a bit more keen.
Just that, because nani alitufunza like those techniques like Feynman technique and whatnot, yada. Because even if you think about it, if we're just to be objective, if I put you in any career, you would succeed. We could all enroll to med school. What makes med school hard? It's a lot of information, and it's hella pressure. But unfortunately cut off ni 84. Ndio maana unapata tu wase wanaingia wanasema oh yeah I got an A and then you get in there and then now they've become whatever it is that they've become. And this is not to shit on any career, to be fair, but it's just that we put so much pressure and emphasis because you've hung out with people in Dale careers and I'm like uongo, that cannot be the same brain you're using to draw buildings. We are walking into buildings zenye zimedesigniwa na umsena iko like ufai kwa wewe siezi trust building amenili. And then you meet people in these courses that people really despise, like environmental science and sociology or whatever. And sijui kanijua kona time sana wanasoma sana, but I'm just like I'm hating because me I did an easy course.
What
and
was your course?
Become finance.
How is that an easy course?
It's hella easy. It's one of the easiest things you would do on earth.
Yes, smart
People kind of want to fight me about it. I have friends who work in accounting.
Lessons zinaisha Tuesday.
Hey, take me there.
That's why they're hiring TikTokers in newsrooms.
You're wrong.
Oh yeah,
you're wrong for that. But everyone,
match up.
Everybody kind of sounds the same, and also it's because we were robbed of individuality.
Yeah,
even just depending on how we used to. Even the way radio presenters sound the same is because tulifunzwa chini ya daraja moja shile ya msingi ya nini ya waletile.
We're taught to toe one line. We're taught it's only one line.
Consistently imekuwa hivyo. That has always been the story. Even just in that lack of individuality, also kind of just to bring it back, we think of things in a certain dimension. So if you stray from it, God forbid you have a mental illness and you're straying away from the line, we don't know what to do with you because depending on what we've been equipped with, consistently, it's a culture of silence. It's a culture of
toe the line.
Yes, toe the line.
And I lay line.
There you nini kidogo.
And where are you going? Where are you going? Come back here.
Right.
And we were not allowed to question.
Right.
Hey, next week is church. We were not allowed to
question. Sunday na bamba. Can't wait.
Questioning was considered disrespectful.
Yes.
So you were to take what was given to you as fact.
Right.
As factual.
Right.
And if you explore, you're also shamed. Any exploration outside the line.
Yeah. But I applaud people who explore and people who put this stuff out there because you're paving a way. So you making your TikTok commentary and whatnot. There's people who look at you and be like, no, you should not do that as a woman. You should not be doing this kind of whatever. But then I'm just like, these stories zitatoka wapi?
Exactly.
Like we need a person who just risk it all for the sake of liberating stories.
And also just like take reason away from things. Just because there's funny commentary doesn't mean it has to serve a purpose.
Absolutely.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
We're laughing. We are happy.
And it's okay. That's the thing that's why it's very difficult for us to read. Because we've made reading such an arduous exercise which has to be purposeful.
It has to serve.
Do you remember we used to read just for vibes? Stories for akina Simon Makonde. Ulikuwa unajikuta unaiba new primary progressive English ya class 6 because ilikuwa na stories in a bamba. Just for vibes. And that's why I disagree with the people who are just like, oh, you need to study, you need to zero in on philosophy. For you to get to philosophy, you need to like read the things that you like, those fictional romance novels, whatever.
What strikes your interest.
It's easier for a person who reads to read than it is for a person who's being. That's why I don't throw shade on people who read like motivational. Like people who read like motivational self-help books and whatnot. Yada. It's easier for you to get those people to read like a paragraph of something else than a person who doesn't read.
That's true, actually.
Right.
So there's something you've said that I just want to tie it back to now. You said you're shamed for going outside,
yes,
or like not towing the line. So experiences, or rather just random thoughts about the relatives who we saw that were completely cast out back then.
Yes.
And some of it, or a lot of it, was alcoholism. I've seen alcoholism in my family. And then there's like aunties who never got married. Of course, at the time there was so much pressure. I don't know what the contraception whatever looked like, but they had kids. But looking back, there are people I look at and I'm like, if this person was in our time, I think they'd have been child free. I think they'd have taken this career. I think they'd have. So let's just talk about how basically mental health or mental wellness looks like from the older generation, or rather just your experiences on that thought.
Well, it's a very heavy topic, and I feel everyone is affected by that
Yeah.
because the problems our families did not solve of mental health, we are now dealing with them right now,
Yeah.
and we are being shamed for it, or we are being made feel guilty for what we are doing. But I think most people long time ago were unable to question what their families were doing that they didn't like, or they were unable to go out of the line. And when you go out of the line, you're really shamed, or you're really made to feel bad about yourself, and you go into alcoholism.
Yeah.
You find a way to
Oh,
rebel. So you're finding a way to deal with what is not happening in the family, or the way your family is treating you. And yeah, you find yourself in something else. Yeah, but I feel like the family unit caused all this damage, and is still causing the damage, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like kids who end up in alcoholism, in these areas where they're unable to come back. I'm not saying drinking is bad, but I mean, you can drink but not be addicted. You can have sexual encounters but not be addicted. You can do everything in proportion. When you realize someone is addicted, or they've gone so far from
Or you're
who they
doing
are,
something as a reaction.
Yes. Yeah, if they're going so far from who they are, then it means their family was not supportive, or they really made them not align, and not accept them for who they are. I think the support from the family really goes a long way, honestly.
Yeah.
And most of African families are not
Yes.
supportive. Yeah, we're not gonna say much, but
Let me play I'll play devil's advocate
As usual.
for the families, because our folks lived in we also need to look at it in its entirety. In the economic times they lived in the political times they lived in. We've lived in such a privileged time where we can say whatever it is that you want. I could just say, screw this government. Hakuna kitu tanifanyikia. You wouldn't dare during Nani. Damn Daniel's time.
Now he's not
During Moi's time, like those guys lived in silence. And Yani. And then, so what happened to our folks is our folks spiritualized it.
Yeah.
Our folks took it to the Lord in prayer because nobody knows the tribulations we see. And that's why having this conversation with your folks, they believe that it is not the torture chambers. It is not economic hardship. It's you can pray about it. Imeshindwa katika jina la Yesu. It's not one party. So they lived in such a silenced time, and so you'll find those people are more spiritual, and that's why I'm not even I don't even throw shit to them. I'm just you found the thing that you cope with, and that was religion.
Wow, yeah.
So when it comes to us, because also we don't live in isolated lives, we live under those people. But then we've gotten to the point where I'm just no, I don't think that this makes sense, and so I feel like I cannot spiritualize a mental condition. For our folks, it's very easy for them to see this is an attack from the devil, because I have raised my children. I've raised my children properly in the way of the Lord. We've gone to church every Saturday or Sunday or to the mosque. And they're like, what do you mean you've shown up? It's an attack from the devil, because it also is unseen. We are fighting against principalities.
Of the darkness.
Kariga jina la Yesu. Tafadhali, sponsors, send something small. Remember, we are supporting the channel. Olive is doing an amazing job, so please. Anyways, so that's why I feel like since we're in the age of information, we have the benefits and luxury almost of the tools as well to kind of put a name to these kinds of things. Because me, when I was diagnosed, my folks couldn't get it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
What do you mean? Because you know how illnesses work. If it's cancer, does anyone in your family have cancer? So is it hypertension? Don't do this. Is it this? You can trace it in terms of lineage. Also, it was very bureaucratic. Then mental illness show up where you could come from the healthiest family, and then one day after school, bro, I'm sorry, you're a schizophrenic, or you're
how come for mental health we want to take it away from the normal way we do it? Like if you see cancer and we don't have anyone in our family that has cancer, you're like, oh, even Uncle Nani died of cancer, so you can take it from outside. But when it comes to schizophrenia, you're not like, oh, hata Uncle Nani alikuwaga kidogo hapo poa.
But you
don't want to borrow that, but normal ugonjwa that we can see, that one you're comfortable with assigning from the lineage.
Yes, but also also during their time, AIDS had also just shown up. Sijui nini, guys were coping. You saw the stigma around any sort of like anomaly, and that's why we were like
tough.
tulikuwa tunajua tu ni mwenda wazimu, watu utaenda kuokota makaratasi kwa barabara, and it was very so we're at the point where we are open to, times have been created where we can talk openly about it, and we're still like in those kind of developmental stages, because also psychology as a field as we know it now is not very old. It's probably 50 to less than 100 years, you know, just even in the world. It's not, it's still fairly new now in Africa. It's you have to break the other level. Yes. Yeah,
we're still trying to get our footing.
Correct.
But on that note, because I know of a friend who, when they came out to their parent as queer, their parent didn't know how to process that, and so their parent went back to school and like did psychology, just to be able to like deal with, to be able to know what to do with the son now. And I think to me that's where now I start calling out that generation, our parents' generation, where it's like, I'm not gonna fault you for what you did in the past. That's as much as you knew. You didn't know any better. But that now you know better. You see the repercussions of the things you did. You can be able to acknowledge where you went wrong and try and tweak a few things. Now, where my problem is coming is that even now when you can see, you still don't want to acknowledge and try where you might have gone wrong. And we're not telling you to apologize. We're just telling you from now on, you can change this. You can just not say this statement. You can just let them be. Like just a few things. The fact that you're too rigid to even change from now on going forward, that's where now this tension is coming between older generations and the newer ones. We're just like, we're not asking for much. We're just asking, acknowledge, at least don't make fun of it. But I come and tell you, even if you don't understand, leave it.
I think the tension is good yet again. Yet again, I shall do that devil's advocate thing.
No, but tension is good because I think it brings change.
It does, because now eventually you learn, with every offensive statement, you learn how to articulate whatever it is that you're going through better. And then at some point they will emerge as the dumber one. They'll understand all what I want to do in upuzi, because also, you know, these people lived in a time when all they cared for was your survival. You had to survive polio, you had to survive malaria, like, you know, so it for them like as long as I
imagine, and we don't refuse, we're just telling you now you're not surviving. It's the same way. You see how therapists are now telling you, you see that space where you're in, where you are surviving, you're not anymore.
But
now you
imagine
can afford
a person
bread.
has survived for 50 years. How do you undo it?
You know why?
And they can't even go to therapy. They're praying. They're just like, hey, let's read.
You know why we are faulting them? It's the way they fault us. They're just like, you, Olive, you're not passing in school, and Ivanna is passing. Even you, don't you see Ivanna's mother has gone to therapy? Even you, Sha.
Melissa,
we are seeing other people in your generation trying. You, why are you not?
Correct. Do better.
Please try.
Do better. Please do better.
The last one I have here says there needs to be more awareness on mental illness issues. Up to this time, some people still see it as witchcraft. This causes stigma to the people affected, and also most people do not seek professional help. I have seen. So yeah, that's our last one. So do we want to discuss stigma?
That's funny.
What wamerogwa?
They make it spiritual, or they say, hey, you know, someone must have bewitched me or jinxed me.
No, but you explain to me how you're just okay, and then suddenly you're picking papers alongside the road. Lazima mtu alikuangalia vibaya.
No,
paper looks pretty. Kwa anyways, yokota tu karatasi.
but it's good to realize things don't
contribute money specifically because she needs help. She might need to I think this is her coping mechanism. Olive has she's become a prolific, you see the way people usually say men would rather become the greatest movie directors than go to therapy. I think Oliver India coping mechanism yake.
Guys, we have to survive like our parents through polio, through chicken pox.
Because like I can see why you would say that, so someone would think it's witchcraft and whatnot. It's because we always kind of want a label for something. And because it's been so far removed.
Back to the first
it's been so far removed from us. We don't even know what the culture was. And I was having this conversation with a babe this morning, and they were like, I'm like, I don't know. If you talk about, just to preempt the next episode, like Christianity, for example, you say, I choose Christianity, but I'm like, that's not a choice because you don't know. You are not making an active decision between like whatever your African whatever is, and you just were born into it. You're maybe like a 4th generation Christian, whatnot. So for people, because we do not, as a country that's majority Christian or spiritual, because we know that these things are not of God. They're from the deceiver and the destroyer of lives, the thief who comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Yes. And therefore, we do not know how that Satan works, because that's another thing. You can't tell me specifically what it does. Therefore, oh, it's a sick woman, this one. We are to self-diagnose. I'll tell you, one more statement and I'm claiming her this one. I'll tell you her illness. I'm diagnosed. And I share drugs now, by the way. But we can blame it on witchcraft because it's spicy enough. It's something that you would see someone would concoct, and then you would see, because these are the stories we know of witchcraft and whatnot. Just as you guys have aptly put it, the stigma around it and the lack of information would kind of rationalize it. But then now, a depressed Christian, for example, who does not believe in witchcraft, huyo ako kwa shida, ako kwa matata mbaya, huyo kazi yake tu anafaa kuomba or whatever it is.
And actually the church had to come a long way to even accept like therapy as a thing.
Yeah.
It was just like everything could be solved
absolutely
by God. So
absolutely.
There's been milestones, and we sort of appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'm not to take away anything from God. I say big W to God and Jesus. It's beautiful, but
made all this possible, so.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, yes, absolutely. Unatumia gari, but that's where you draw the line. Like like we worship in a building and not under trees while facing Mount Kenya or whatnot.
Where?
But then tumekata tu kukubali therapy, So it's
Nataka kurudi next week.
hey,
Witchcraft.
you witchcraft see it too.
Okay, so can I ask something, Amma? You had something to say. So now that we've talked, of course, therapy, all the episodes we've had, I think in season 4, it's just been, guys, let's go to therapy. It literally solves 90% of those problems. But now I'm thinking, how does that look for the people who do not have this space? Like even therapy in itself is such a good space in Nairobi. Outside, if I go back home, therapists are not in like small towns. That's not a thing. Psychology is not a thing. You go in, you may faint. We were even surprised with that diagnosis at that time. That is due exhaustion or something. Never heard of. Tell us kama ni anemia.
Yes,
like, tell us.
Lucozade na Ribena.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, how do we make this sort of information probably accessible, this sort of services to someone in the remote areas who doesn't, I don't know,
What I'd say, the thing is, as a support system, I think a support system is important.
Right.
Because even a therapist is part of your support system. That's why, of course, sometimes it's expensive, but it doesn't have to be expensive. So there are free therapists, like in Kenyatta National Hospital. There's a youth center there, and there's free counseling. Of course, if you're a church person, you can go to your church counselor. For those who, those who are comfortable in the church setting. If you're not, there's the Kenyatta. And also, I think just talking to someone, having friends. And I think one thing I want to say very clearly, I think people look for, like the way I'd say, Olive is my best friend, and I come to you for everything. And I come to you for all type of support. So I think as a person, always have different kinds of friends who can support you in different kinds of things. Like if I'm sad and I want to call someone to make me laugh, I call Kaz. And then maybe Olive can help me,
with the money. News nikujie mambo ya pesa tafadhali, nimesota.
Nimesema ya kucheka.
Asante.
Manifest money.
Money. Nikujie mambo ya pesa. Asante.
My friend over there will help me with maybe I need to maybe sort my relationship issues. Maybe he's a good advisor in relationships.
Yeah.
So I think dividing your friends in what you in the kind of strengths they have,
Yes.
so that you have a good enough support system, so that you may not need therapy. Also, journaling is good. I think, Olive will talk about that, but you can journal. So you don't always need to do therapy. You can always help yourself in small ways.
I think so. Just to bounce off of that, I think it all ties down to community. It ties down to you having an active community that you're a part of, that you're plugged into. Because even if you think about the herd, the people who are, when you're isolated, that's when it gets you, the predator or whatever.
That's true.
But also, just to talk about therapy, I feel like it also varies from men to women, because it's very focused on how do you feel, what does that make you feel. While for a man, when a man claims that they're in a difficult place, it usually is because I do not know what to do. It's a performance issue more than it is an emotional issue. So community again solves that, because it teaches you, when I'm in a community full of men, when I'm hanging out, when we're doing hikes or those two things where we are racing, we are going to Kajiado for no reason, and you park your cars and whatnot and talk about nonsense. That thing which people look outside and think, oh, I don't see the point of this. That is how, like, you get to see, this is where I'm underperforming, this is where I'm, because I feel like it would be like a different, it would be a tangent for us to think about, is therapy. And the feedback I've had from a lot of men who've done therapy is it feels very gynocentric. It feels very focused to the women. And I can see it, because eventually the industry is trying to make money. And the people who would be most susceptible to buying things that are to deal with, like, unpacking emotions would be the females. And so the men are not going to therapy because it feels ineffective. Not because I don't want to go. It's because when I get in there, they're going to ask me about my feelings. But no,
you don't even know how to feel.
And I don't even have a problem with feeling. Feeling is absolutely great. But I want to understand how I can do.
You want an actual solution. I've come here with a problem.
Yes, that could be, there's that, but also, like, and that's why I'm like, it's deeper than us just saying go to therapy or not. The information is everywhere, but it goes back to communities. If we are in healthy communities, I will learn how to perform. You will sit down with fellow women and you will unpack feelings and emotions and whatnot. And I feel like in this age where now we got in front of cameras, we saw an opportunity for therapy, and we were not entirely honest about whatever it is that we were going through.
And I think therapy, I think only a man can help a man become a better man, and only a woman can help a woman become a better woman.
Yes, so while there's shared areas where there's the human experience, where we can't say, oh, gee, these are logical, these are emotional. No, we are all logic, we are all emotion. But as you've aptly put it, men are in a better position to show you this is how you walk the masculine journey, and the feminine journey is walked this way. I feel like that's sort of missing, because even if I decided to be a therapist, most of my clientele will be female. They'll be female. No, for sure. Who goes to therapy more? It's the women who want to be.
I was going to ask, are there male therapists?
There are male therapists.
Okay.
There are male therapists for sure, and I've seen a few. But again,
and not motivational speakers.
Again, yes,
I'm tired.
Again, I think just due to market demand, because if you don't exercise a muscle, it withers. I doubt very many men walk into their into their chambers. So they've also bought into whatever it is that's going, because most of your patients are going to be.
I think we were finishing it up, but I had you triggered one more question. Are there types of therapy? Because I think when people look at me, listen to me, they think I'm very much therapized. I've never been to therapy.
You are.
But no, I've never been to therapy.
Right.
But then it is, I think I was reading somewhere, and that's when I learned there's something called, I think, self-therapy. There's things you do. And I don't know what that looks like. I also don't want to misguide people, because for me, it was from, I think 5 years ago when I was said, I'm intentionally wanting to be a happier human, to be a better human. And I just went on these journeys. You watch cars on TikTok, you're like, okay, I've learned something. I see Ivanna gave me a wellness journal.
Let's go.
The journal I've gotten into journaling now full time. I've not bought for this year, but I'm like writing on a notebook, and it just like really, really helps. Just talk. There are days when you just journal, like today I went to work, and then there are days you start writing and you cry. Like you just cry, and you sleep better that night, and you wake up. So there's tools. Just sometimes if you can't afford to go to therapy, I don't think if I can't afford. For me, it was more, I'm very scared of, I'm scared to unearth the things I think I can unearth. So I'm just, for me, I'm still in a space of, I'm scared about therapy. I don't want any diagnoses. I know there are things I could have a problem with here and there. But
I'm giving you my meds, by the way.
Generally-
Nimepata pali nitazipeleka. I was wondering, sisiki kuzitupa kumbe. Olive is in need.
generally, I believe I'm a decent human. So long as I'm not hurting people around me, I still feel like, okay, wacha nisiende diagnosis. Diagnosis ya nini, anxiety, ADHD, ama OCD, hizo yenye.
What do you do with the label?
I'm just like, it will add a problem. And I still have something else. So I'm just wondering, are there types of therapy? Of course, we've said community. Maybe I'm just trying to see if self-therapy is a thing. Is it?
I think it is, man. And community for the win again. Me, I'm a big advocate for community because it helps. Because I know I can call Ivanna as a friend. I can. Tumepoteleana kidogo too. But that's a story for off camera. Ivanna character developed the men at that leadership center. You want me to continue?
No, I will continue.
I would tell them to send money so that I don't say it. It's very good. Support the podcast if you don't want me to say Ivanna's secrets. Anyways, I'd be like, you see, like the toys who used to, like when we were growing up, there's people who, like the women who were casual laborers, like they'd come to wash or do whatever chores. They would have a child, and the child would be swaddled on the back. That toy would cry until they would just pass out. So as a toy, for such a mother, you learn how to self-soothe. And that's the thing which I'm just like, life throws enough at you, and you kind of learn how to self-soothe. Like, even me now, first of all, when they give it a name, I just be like, hey, what is it I'm going through today? This is symptom number 16B. Therefore, these are healthy options I can need. Me, that's how I navigate. I'm just vibing. I'm raw dogging life right now. I'm not doing those meds. But it kind of helps. As you've said, there's that one for self. And then there's just the way we believed in herd immunity. And now I come and tell you, hey, by the way, if you find yourself going through this, try that. And like community, you come with your nini and you tell me, no, Kaz, that you're wrong. From what I read, that's wrong. It's very different from a person who does not have community.
True.
Yeah.
And community looks like everything, like anything. Because I think when you say community, it almost feels like it's the people you talk to every day, the people you see. I feel for me, community has been you people. Like I just connect with
even online
on the internet. I don't even know these people. I was just like, I'm seeing you. Your chakras look aligned. I see roho yako ni safi nakupenda. It was love at first sight, you know.
That's how we met.
And you talk to people, and I'm so surprised that you actually DM people. Like you find such amazing people,
right?
And life goes on, and you just like share, and it's a good time.
Because the way you also show up in friendship, Ivanna does not put a therapist hat away. Whenever it's called to, she brings it. Because me, I'll bring whatever I bring. Olive will bring this. And it's formidable. That's why I'm like, when we pull it together, also because I'm at the point in my life where I can blame everything on capitalism.
True.
Mimi by the way, time, I shall invoke capitalism, because we're into silos and whatnot, and we are supposed to be isolated and just working, where you realize now also, because why do we have it feels like there's a surgence of like dumb people, is because the parks, the places we used to sit down together have been demolished to make a space for a road or for another mall or whatever. And that has been replaced with cameras and microphones.
Sure.
So I'll come and say whatever damn thing, which, this was not supposed to live. The stoners used to, watu wabangi walikuwa na kaile place, na atuko tutatake vitu zao, watu wele walikuwa na kaile place, munaongea na inaisha. But nowadays, because we no longer have the space to say and emote and fine tune these ideas, the first idea that comes into your mouth, into your mind, you mouth it, and
Bring back secrets. Bring back
Tafadhali.
shame.
Silete. Daktari amesema do not restore shame.
Don't say that.
Bring back shame. Tutakupoteza.
There's things you see, like the Andrew Tates, and you're just like, bring back shame. There are things, there are things, like I've said, everything has a flip side to it. Like right now we have more microphones, we can have such conversations, more people can be healed.
Right.
But then on the other side, there is someone very vile who also has a microphone.
Yeah.
So we have to deal with both
But also because,
sides.
we are also in the economy where the person who says the more grotesque thing is the person who stays. Because we're also in like a very fast moving, low attention span, whatever. And
adrenaline junkie.
yeah.
That one which brings out.
And also like just specifically speaking as a man, and I was having this conversation at some random hangout where someone was like, oh, what do you think about Americs and whatnot? And it was like a whole argument. I was like, that's a bad argument, because I feel like guys like those ones are necessary evils. They are a reactionary thing to people saying, as a guy who's giving you advice, a divorced 45-year-old alcoholic who tells you, oh no, women are trash. Because the people who are in healthy relationships are not talking about it.
That's true.
The people who've emerged are these people who are telling you, hey, listen, this is my experience. And then you look in your life and you're like, yeah, that auntie of mine behaved like that. This girl left me because, I don't know why she left me. Probably because I didn't have money or I was not muscular enough and whatnot. And so, unless, again, we stop seeing each other as how much do you make in the labor market and how much do you spend in the consumer market, and we just humanize each other and go through this journey pole. The more divided we are, the more people make money, because now you're going to be on antidepressants because you're worried the men are not thinking and whatever,
But imagine shame people. If you just see someone doing bad manners,
aibisha
anika kuliko nguo.
Watu lakini wamefurahi hii kitu nimeona. Watu wanafanya tu chochote. Guys are kulana sijui na Uber.
Most.
And I love it. I love it for the society. We are Jesus is about to come back. Praise the Lord.
For every shift there must be collateral damage.
For sure.
That's the stage we're at.
For sure.
We are collateral at this point.
Yeah.
But then that will bring us to the end of our discussion.
It
mental wellness.
Yeah.
Illness.
Yeah.
I don't even know. But anyway, I'll have figured out. But thank you so much. How
Thank
did you
you.
find today?
Thank you for having us. It was beautiful. It flowed. I feel like it was very conversational because also
I feel like we've touched on certain things that are still episodes in the future.
Yeah.
That just have led us all the way over there. But I definitely have you back if
That'll be
we're having
nice.
those conversations.
That'll be nice.
And love it.
so much.
Because witchcraft.
Tafadhali. Tafadhali.
Thank you so much for coming and for your
Thank you,
insight
Ole.
and for sharing. I was so scared of having you on because I usually don't know where to draw the line between like your profession. Like what question do I ask that is information I should pay for?
Yes.
And
Oh, you don't want to exploit?
I
Oh,
don't want to explore.
beautiful.
I pay for my services.
But don't worry, me, I'm
Yeah.
busy. Yeah.
I've been feeling kind of sad. I can steal it on podcast time. I can sneak in like 30 seconds of therapy.
Ulipe, weka invoice. Pesa zikitumwa hapa natumia Ivanna.
Nitibu ama nitoboe? Nitibu ama niseme?
It really helps you.
Yes, what do you mean?
He's going to give me his
Yes, you
meds,
can.
So we're good.
We can now help you.
Oh, but that's beautiful. I hadn't seen Ivanna in such a long time.
Yeah.
Have we met ever since the fellowship?
Maybe, but once. I don't remember when.
We must have bumped into each other once. So when I saw the name, I got super excited. I didn't want to say. That's why I didn't respond. I was just like, love hurts.
Aside.
Good to see you, man. Oh, good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
so much for coming. It's always such a pleasure. And that brings us to the end of In All Honesty podcast. We were discussing mental wellness, you said health.
I thought.
Mental health.
Yeah.
And until next week, my fabulous name is OLAVEORAWO. Bye.
Next on the In All Honesty podcast.
So next week we'll be discussing church trauma. Why did you leave the church? Why did you leave faith? Why did you leave God? Basically, just why did you leave that space? So you could be for Muslims it's ex-mosque, for Christians it's ex-church. So just basically, why did you leave that space? What space are you in? Are you those people who left church but didn't leave God? Are you those people who left church completely and looked for a whole new religion to subscribe to? Are you those people who left completely and now just don't believe in anything? I would like to know what was the experience for you. As for me, I remember some of the things that were very troublesome for me was the idea of not being able to question. Anything that you questioned was blasphemous, and there were no answers given. Church was a place that was very difficult to belong, and when I got to the place where I had autonomy to live, I was just like, let me leave this space. Let me try and explore what faith might look like by myself, or just see what else is out there. Because also, if you don't have something to compare to, then what are you leaving and what are you going to? So next week, we'll be talking about our church experiences. Why did you leave church? I hope I'll get ex-church or ex-faith members that we can also just get to have this discussion with. But you can always share with me your experiences and your opinions on basically leaving church, leaving faith, experiences in the church and in faith, through my DMs at OLAVEORAWO. And you can also send in your stories through my email at olaveorawo@gmail.com. Bye.
Do you hear that? Would you lend me some coins, please? The In All Honesty podcast needs you to continue running. I will deeply appreciate support from you. You can send monetary contributions to my Mpesa +254 728 171 059 via PayPal at OLAVEORAWO. That is OLAVEORAWO. You can support the podcast indirectly by buying merchandise and services I offer listed on my WhatsApp catalog. My WhatsApp number is +254 728 171 059. Did you think I'd forget? Advertise with the In All Honesty podcast. Hit me up to talk about it. You can do that via WhatsApp +254 728 171 059 or via email olaveorawo@gmail.com, or you can also DM me on socials at OLAVEORAWO. You know, the hand that gives will receive an episode every week. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in what was once a dream. So if I do some quick math, the future equals a dream come true. Since 1992, In All Honesty, a podcast by OLAVEORAWO.